Good evening, Pro Stasis. Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good one. We're going to be doing Season 3, Episode 3. We're going to be doing Marinades today. I'm going to go over the basics of marinades. I'm going to make 3 different marinades myself. Basically, I'm going to build a do-it-yourself marinade bar and talk about how to build your own marinades. Spice rubs are next week, which will be somewhat similar but a bit different on the ratios of things. Marinades are a lot more forgiving, and marinades are a great palate builder. What I recommend when people first start doing marinades is use 1 or 2 ingredients, and that'll give you a base that you can add on to. There's certainly plenty of great recipes out there online for spice rubs and marinades, but I like to wing it because I think it's a very good, it's a good palate builder. You get to learn different flavors that way in a way that's not so risky. Meat tastes delicious, and most people agree on that. I mean, some people don't eat meat, but marinades are great, a great way to add flavor to your meat, and also a great way to experiment with things that you don't know what they taste like. So we have all this stuff here. We're going to use thyme, oregano, mint, lemon, got cumin, paprika, curry, red curry paste, coriander, chili powder, balsamic vinegar, white vinegar, oil, green onions, lime, and garlic. So I'm going to cut a bunch of stuff up, and then I'm going to build a couple marinades from scratch. Marinades are a great choice for cheaper, tougher cuts of meat. Purpose of the marinade is you add some acid into the meat. It helps tenderize it. It also helps do flavor. What you have to be careful of is that acid can also cook the meat, so if you let it sit too long in a highly acidic substance, it'll actually make the meat very rubbery and rough. The first marinade we're going to do is going to be a red curry, lime, and green onion. So I'm going to get all the ingredients out for all 3. And we'll talk as we go along. Got this awesome zester I got for my birthday. Lost my previous zester, so I didn't know where it was. You can also just cut off the very edge with a knife, which is what I did before when I lost my zester. So there's lime zest. Chop that up shortly. Grab lemon zest. We're doing a lemon and herb marinade as well. Basically, the purpose of the zester is to pull just the very base off the lemon. As soon as you get down to the white stuff, inside is a little bit shiny. As soon as you get down inside, the white stuff becomes very bitter, but the outside is very herbaceous and good, citrusy awesomeness. Don't have to worry about too much about the cuts since it's just getting marinated. Some of that will retain on the meat when you pull it out of the marinade, so you don't want any huge chunks, but a little chunk is okay. Okay, so we got lemon zest there. Lime zest. Do scallions next. Give these a quick rinse. Like to rinse herbs, especially. I mean, they grow in the dirt, and you never know where they came from. In most cases, they're pretty clean, but you just don't know. Going to be using mostly the green of the onion here. I usually save the white of the onion for actually cooking, so I'll probably add that to the vegetables or whatever else is prepared with the meat tomorrow. If you want to do a very quick marinade, you add more acid to it, so add more lemon juice or vinegar or whatever the case may be, and then it'll marinate faster. It'll receive the flavor quicker. If you want to let it sit overnight, you don't want to have a highly acidic substance. You want to have a low acid marinade. Leave these out for later. Once again, marinades are a great way to add flavor to your food, and in addition to that, a good way to experiment with stuff that you don't know what it tastes like. If you don't know what something tastes like and you have a base marinade that you like, so let's say you like the red curry, lime, and green onion marinade. Well, you can try adding one more ingredient to that and see what it does. So it's a good baseline of what to put stuff in. It may not be the best, but marinades are pretty forgiving, so even if you have a undesirable flavor combination. It's going to be very rare that you actually ruin your meal by doing that. Okay, we got fresh thyme here. Thyme's very woody, so you don't want to go overkill on it, and the stems especially are very woody, so you just take your fingers and pull off the leaves individually. For this case, I'm not even going to chop the leaves, we're just going to leave them whole. I'm getting really excited for this season, and especially next season. Next season of Cooking with Frag, I'm going to be cooking things I've never made before. You often see me just wing it on here like we're winging it right now. Just going to make some marinades from scratch. Yeah, I had a basic idea of what I wanted to do, but I usually don't follow recipes too much. I like to just go with what I think is going to taste good. Next season there'll be a lot more recipe following, because I'll be cooking things that are alien to me. The nice thing about once you learn the basics of cooking, excuse me, once you learn the basics, you have a very good technique base to work off of. And once you understand the basic techniques, you are completely set. Most techniques will transfer from one style of food to another. Alrighty, got some fresh thyme. Go for some fresh oregano. This will be for our herb. We'll do lemon, oregano, and thyme, and some garlic. It'll be a very basic herb marinade. Oregano leaves are much thicker, so these are going to have to get chopped a little bit. You don't want to cook a whole leaf. That should be good, though. I'll find something nifty to do with these herbs later. Alright, there we got fresh oregano. We'll do some fresh mint as well. Mint and lemon go together really well, as does mint and oregano. Though mint can be very overpowering, so you have to be careful what you do with it. Okay. Once again, marinades are extremely forgiving, so just experiment with stuff. If you have a flavor profile you like, you have herbs that you like, start there and add one thing at a time. Sometimes it goes awry, and sometimes you end up with something really amazing that you didn't expect. Okay, what else do I need to chop? I think we're good on chopping except for the garlic. Cut this lime in half. If you want to get more juice out of your limes and lemons, if you roll them on the cutting board, it makes them much easier to juice. So we're going to roll this one and roll the lemon, and then we will cut them in half. Okay. So that'll be our citrus element. You can add acid in the way of fruit juice or vinegar. We'll be doing one with lime, one with lemon, and one with balsamic vinegar. You can also use white vinegar, apple cider vinegar, so on and so forth. Alrighty. Save the garlic for last because it's really sticky and it can make your cutting board sticky, knife sticky, makes everything harder to chop. Okay, there we go. Some fresh garlic. I'll rinse off my knife to get the garlic off of it. Garlic is extremely acidic, so you don't want to leave it on your knife. It will start rotting the edge of the blade eventually, especially if you leave it out overnight or whatnot. Really bad for your knife. Alrighty. Now moving on to the meat. Got London broil here, which is a pretty cheap cut, though for cheap cuts it has a good tenderness, and it's also a very good marinating cut, as is flank and many others. You usually marinate cheaper cuts of meat. Doesn't mean that you can't marinate more expensive cuts, but usually you want the meat to shine on that occasion. Got this big old slab. Got a fat cap here, so we'll take that off. That's fine. Look for any other big pieces of silver skin. So we got some stuff right here. Yeah, that'll be just fine. You don't want to remove all the fat. You just want to look for, this is what you're looking for right here. Any big chunks of the silver stuff is the stuff that you want to get off. And obviously any huge pieces of fat, but a little bit of fat being in there is good. Helps it cook. Wash our hands. Alright, see, we want to get 6 pieces out of this, so I'm going to cut it in half this way, and we'll cut it into 3s from here. There we go. Now for the fun stuff. Here's a little tip: if you're going to do marinades in bags or put anything in a bag, you can take a bowl or a cup or whatever it is and just rest it on the edge. Keeps your bag open. It's very easy to add stuff in. Alright, so we got that. Well, let's go ahead and get these bagged up so we can just transfer them right over and not have to wash our hands again. Alrighty, not to worry about the meat on the cutting board because it's going to get all contained in the bag and then put in the fridge afterwards. Alrighty. So the base for almost all marinades is going to be a little bit of oil and a little bit of acid. So we're going to start with canola oil. You can use any kind of oil you want. Just have to make sure there's enough in there to coat the meat. Alright, so for this one we're going to add red curry paste. Use up the rest of this. I really like curries in marinades a lot. It's good stuff. Alright, red curry paste, green onion, lemon juice. Once again, acid cooks meat, so you don't want to add an absolute ton. You don't want to be drowning in acid. You want there to be enough on the outside that it retains the flavor. And we'll use lime zest for this one. I probably should have squeezed the lime juice in there, but oh well. Seal up your bag. Roll out the air. And then we'll have to make sure we mix everything up as good as we can. So this would be a good simple like 6-hour marinade. You can leave it in the fridge overnight with this, but probably be about 6 hours for good flavor. Alrighty. So that's a very simple one. That'd be a good base marinade to start out with that you can add stuff to later on. So there's that. Move on to the next one. Alright, for this one we're going to do a herby marinade with balsamic. We're going to add garlic, oregano, thyme, smidge of mint, lemon zest, more lemon juice, our oil, should be good, and some cracked black pepper. Alrighty. I do very much enjoy pepper in my marinades, to each their own. Once again, leave a little crack, roll out the air, seal it off, and then rub it around. And of course, you can move them around a little bit after a few hours. Can often be helpful in spreading the flavor across. It's going to taste good either way. Alright, so there's marinade number 2. That'd be like an herby, lemony marinade. That'd also be a somewhat quick marinade. If you wanted to do a very quick marinade on meat, you could do that with some heavy lemon juice and then pull it out after a couple hours. Okay. And for the last one, this is one of my favorites. I've cooked this a couple times recently. A little more complicated, but real good. Okay. We'll use all of our spices here. This is a kind of earthy one. I'm a big fan of chili powder and yellow curry mixed. This is New Mexico chili powder. Use about a teaspoon of that. Teaspoon of curry as well. We'll do it the easy way then. I'm going to add salt afterwards. Salt will pull the moisture out of the meat. You can add some salt to your marinades, but I like to season before it goes in the pan, personally. Alright, paprika. Paprika doesn't have too much flavor, but it is a very nice color. And it does have a nice smell to it as well. It's best when it's charred, in my opinion. Alright, we got cumin. I'm going to do about a half teaspoon of this. Cumin's pretty overpowering, so you don't want to add too much. Fine, we'll do it the easy way again. Comes out a lot easier when there's less in there. Cumin. Go for lime juice on this one. And coriander. I'm a huge fan of coriander. It's got this really amazing earthy smell to it. Once again, very overpowering, so we're only going to add a tiny little bit. And this one will get some red curry paste as well. About a tablespoon. Don't go as heavy on the curry paste as we did on the last one, because you have a lot more flavors combating in there. Oil. So I had to wash the bottom of those because we had meat on the cutting board. Alright, so this would be more of a spicy rub marinade. Rubs are a little bit different, and you have to nail the salt level, and the flavor profile is a little more important than it is on marinades. Marinades are a lot more forgiving. Spice rubs, you go right from rubbing it onto the grill. This sits and marinades, and some of the marinade can come off, or if it there's a lot less flavor transferred unless you leave it for a very, very long time. But we'll do spice rubs next week, which I'm also excited for, using a lot of these same spices. We'll talk about the different ratios to do on that. But there we have 3 marinades. We got a red curry, a very earthy spice rub, a lemon herb, and a red curry, green onion, lemon juice marinade. So, if you're just getting into marinades, it can be pretty overwhelming because there's so many ingredients to choose from. Once again, start with something very simple, like do the red curry, green onion, lime juice marinade, and then try to add on to it from there. Very good way to start building your palate. It's very hard to know where to get started building your palate, but bottom line is the more stuff you taste, the better your palate becomes. Walk around here real quick. I'm going to grab one more bag, and then I'm going to put these 3 in another bag, and then they're safely secured. Alright, there you have it. Oh, I just realized, hold on a second. I've done messed up my marinade. Having lemon juice in there is okay as well, but I wanted to add balsamic to the herb one because that goes very well together. My dang. Balsamic vinegar makes really good herb marinades. Really good herb marinades, as well as it's just a great marinade base. Don't need very much at all, just a little splash. So this will be very acidy. Very acidy. So this will be a very quick marinade. Probably no more than 6 hours. It's not going to be bad if it's overnight, but with the amount of acid in there, it's going to be best served quickly or as a fast marinade. You can have marinades up to like 20-minute marinades. It just depends on the ratio of acid that you want to use and the potency of the ingredients. Okay. So there we go. We got our 3 marinades. You don't need to tenderize the meat before marinating. I guess there'd be exceptions to that if you had a very tough cut of meat. You could definitely tenderize it beforehand. It's definitely not a bad thing to do, but in most cases, no. The acid in the marinade is actually going to help tenderize the meat itself. So I hope that was helpful to everyone. Does anybody have any questions? You don't even have to defrost first. You can start with a frozen product. You just have to make sure you move it around. Yes, they would adapt to chicken well, especially the lemon herb one would definitely work for white meat. The red curry does work well with chicken, but I would say it's more of a red meat marinade. high on the New Mexico chili. I mean, New Mexico chili is really good. Here's a tip for you guys. If you go to the store to buy chili powder, go to the ethnics, whatever they call it in the grocery store, and there's bags of chili powder that's usually better quality than the stuff in the jar that you're going to get, and way cheaper. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this episode. I'm going to go downstairs, I'm going to turn on the cast. We'll be playing Cook Serve Delicious. Cook Serve Delicious tonight, and we will be back next week for Cooking with Frag. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for joining. Be back in about 2 minutes.